But anyway, look, I just want to summarise and then close up. This conference was designed to be a truth-telling conference. So we made sure that we had people here who were going to speak the truth, no broken promises, no lack of commitment. So it was never going to be a talk fest, okay? So we go to lots of conferences and you hear all these people talk for days and you go away and that's it. So what I'd like to put to you guys is, what now? What now, you mob? 80% of the NT government funding comes from the Commonwealth Government, okay? Because we're such a small jurisdiction, and that money comes to the NT government because of the Aboriginal population and the level of disadvantage in the Northern Territory. AHANT has written to the Prime Minister about this, and we have the honour of travelling with the independent member for Mulka, Mr. Yingia, in a couple of weeks to go down and talk to the Prime Minister about the state of play in the Northern Territory. There has been legislation passed like you would not believe in the last 18 months, and it's all having negative impacts on Aboriginal people. Can't catch a bus if you're dirty and smelly, yet tradespeople can get on the bus, filthy. They're now, correct me if I'm wrong, NTG, public housing officers are going to be an officer assigned to the police, and they're going to have guns, okay? And they're having guns for transport officers on the buses. What the heck? Where are we living? Alabama in the 1940s? And, we've tried to voice our concerns that if you send a housing officer into a house where there may be sorry business and there's a lot of people there and they are drinking, because that's sometimes what we do when we're in sorry business, just to kill the pain, and somebody goes in and they see somebody walking in there with a gun, all hell will break loose. Somebody will probably get killed, and it may not be one of our people. That's just a reality, a practical reality of when people start walking around with guns and threatening our people. So we're going with Mr. Yingia down to see the Prime Minister and just to let him know, from an Aboriginal person's perspective, what's happening to this place. Now they're going to bring in this child removal policy. We're all calling it child removal policy, not child protection policy, because that's what it is. People are going to lose their children because they live in overcrowded houses. Then 2 years later, they've only got 2 years to get their life together according to the bureaucracy. And if they don't have their life together in 2 years, they're probably still going to be living in an overcrowded house. They're going to lose their children till they're 18. Are we going back in time, for goodness sakes? We've got a Chief Minister who refuses to talk to the Aboriginal community control sector, blatantly refuses it. She will not do acknowledgement of country at any event, not even the Anzac Day event, which is really disheartening for the Larrakia people. So, what kind of government are we living under at the moment? We are not the problem here. We were here first. So we're going to be, like I said, we're going to Canberra, and we'll be very professional and very frank with Anthony. But anyway, the other situation is that Northern Territory promotes Aboriginal culture in the NT as a tourism promotion. And yet, look how they're treating our people. If I can respectfully use Warramungu language, I just asked with them to use their language. Wilya Junta means stand strong, and that's what we need to continue to do. No more being complacent and just taking what's dished out. We need to actually challenge and stand strong. Okay. Paul Keating delivered a Redfern address some years ago. And it was delivered in 92, actually. I'm referring to the 92 one, Grace. I've got a 34-year-old son who was born in 92, okay? So this is how long ago, and we're still hearing the same record round and round and round. So Paul Keating, the key themes of the Paul Keating's Redfern statement were an act of recognition. Keating stated, recognition that it was we, not we, them. What do you mean we, white man? It was them who did the dispossessing. They took the children from their mothers and they practiced discrimination and exclusion against Aboriginal people. A call to action, he challenged the nation to embrace historical truth that is still not taught in schools and integrate Indigenous Australians into the modern social democracy without fear of losing their identity. So that was in 1992. What are we now? 34 years later. So this is what we've heard over the last couple of days, is this stuff has been going on for decades. As I said earlier, we were probably better off in the 80s and 90s as Aboriginal people. Now it seems like we've gone back to the late 60s and early 70s, the way that we are being treated in the Northern Territory. So I'd like to close what I believe to have been a wonderful conference. I might be biased, but I think it's been pretty bloody deadly. So I'd like to thank the sponsors, thank the board, thank the AHANT staff, thank our contractors, as you said, and I know that I'd like to thank everybody who took time out of their busy schedules to attend here for 2 days. 2 days is a long time to be out of your office, so totally get that, and it's even longer if you're travelling. I just wanted to say that Maslow's hierarchy of needs, for people who understand that, you know, the pyramid with the needs that you need to survive, housing was always the main thing, but that doesn't even seem to apply here in the Northern Territory. Our people are still living in tin sheds and have one tap in a community and one ablution block to be shared between 10 houses. Homelessness figures are out of control up here. I think we're something like, 15, 16, how many percent? National AHEAD table? 12. 12 times the national average, homelessness. You know, we've got a homeless facility out there at Marara that has 300 rooms. It's the next mine site facility, so you get like a hotel room, double bed, fridge, kettle, ensuite, and you're supposed to stay there for 28 days short stay, or you go into the homeless program. Well, I think some of those people have been living in that place for 4 years because there's nowhere to go. There is nowhere to transition out of homelessness to. We heard also about Homelands and how safe they are, and how people would move depending on what season because they were looking for different foods. People are safer in their homelands for reasons that you've heard over the last 2 days. Climate change is real. Can you imagine living in a tin shed like Willie Junter just explained? You know, a tin shed in 50 degrees and a tin shed in -5 degrees, which is a lot of our communities in Central Australia. Co-design doesn't exist as far as I'm concerned. I said that earlier. It's get the fastest house you can build as fast as you can for the cheapest amount. And we're spending millions building one house. So, as I said earlier, I would love to live in a Willie Junter house. So, I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much for your interest in this conference and for coming along. We are very resilient people. We had short notice last Friday and we had to fill that gap up, and we did it. The gap again. Fill the gap up on Sunday when I rang up Senator Thorpe and I told her the situation. She said, I'll be there. I said, we'll cover your airfares and accommodation. No, I'll pay my own. So she was very honoured to be here, and I think there will be very interesting Senate estimates at the next Senate estimates in Canberra. Anyway, as I said, stand strong. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for your contributions to this conference and your goodwill and your preparedness to talk straight, because we're tired of talking bullshit. We've heard it. I've heard it for most of my life. But anyhow, we're resilient, we're not going anywhere, and we're still deadly, and that's how we've got to stay. Thank you. Sorry, I forgot about our number one MC.